Did you ever hook up with like 2 dudes in the night or 3 dudes in the night?
At one night, 10.
So there was a point where they asked about body count and stuff. And this one woman, the bigger woman on the panel, said that there was one time when she had like 10 guys in one night. Now, I try my darnest to not be judgmental of people. When you heard her say that, what were your thoughts about that?
That's so funny because we were commenting about my face. Like I had made a face. I was shocked, but not in a judgmental way. Just because who am I to judge? Christians always started bringing this up. We were talking about Christianity this thing too, and I used to be, and I'm more spiritual now. And it's because the biggest hypocrisy ever. Like you cannot judge these people. Like you have your own things that you do that are still bad things or still things that you want to work on or make better. And she wasn't saying it like, oh, like I'm proud of these things and I want to do it. But what she's saying is she doesn't regret it. And what she meant by that is because it made her who she is today. It made her aware that that's not something she wants to do. Some people need to try things to know they're not something they want to do. So other people's don't. But if you try something, realize it's not something you do, that's growth. And that is more for me than the person who already decides they don't want to and doesn't to try it and decide they don't want to. Now you're at a whole nother level of elevation. You're evolving. You're that's how humans have become who we are now. We decided what we didn't, not the people who decided they didn't, they're not going to, they're not going to try. It's people who are like, you know what? I checked this out. And obviously she was in a place where, you know, maybe there was some self-esteem issues, maybe depression. And she had to get this other part fulfilled that was missing for her to make her feel like she was all right.
Well, that was the part of the comment that I found myself struggling with it. Because like they said, like the conversation about regret was like, I think you said that you don't need to have regret to have learned from something or to not want to do it again.
Yes.
And the guys on the panel very much disagreed with that. Yeah. But can you just expand on that thought? I pulled up the definition of regret also. So
okay, great.
Regret was a feeling of sadness, repentance, or disappointment over something that has happened or been done. Then that's the noun. And then the verb is feeling sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that has happened or been done, blah, 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 blah. So it's basically saying, like, I think what the guys trying to get at is that if you don't feel a level of sadness or repentance over what you did, then how can you grow? Like the only way to grow is to be able to realize, oh, like in this case, this woman's like, I did 10 guys. Like if there was anything of like, I probably shouldn't have done that, that would be like, oh, she now in their eyes regrets that. Do you see that in the same way?
I see what you're saying, but the thing is that those are all negative emotions. I see things in very positive and negative.
Which you said, yeah. Okay. So is there anything wrong with is there anything wrong with feeling or realizing something is a negative? No,
but here's the thing: that's not saying that you're realizing it's negative. It's to have a current negative reaction to the thing that happened.
Okay.
That's the difference.
You're saying in the present, if you're feeling that thing. So does that mean that it's bad at any time in that journey if she would have felt regret?
I'm saying so when it initially happened, you can regret that thing happened. But to continue to feel that regret is to live in the past. You're not living in the present. That thing already happened. That was a negative thing that happened. But to feel negatively about it now is allowing that thing to affect you in today. I can't live today being affected by tomorrow. I can only live today knowing what I learned from yesterday.
But
yesterday twice.
Wouldn't viewing it negatively now prevent you from wanting to do that thing? And then if so, wouldn't that didn't mean that there was regret?
Viewing it negatively now. But okay, so that's the difference though. You can review it as being negative, but to live in a negative space. So if I'm over here like, God, I wish I didn't have sex with that guy. I wish I didn't have sex with the guy. God, I had sex with that guy. I shouldn't have sex with that guy. I regret having sex with that guy. Where's my energy right now? It's all bad. Or versus, you know what? I had sex with the guy. I shouldn't have done that. I'm a better person for who I am today. And I won't do that again. That's a better energy to be in. The difference is where you're living the energy now or you're acknowledging the energy in the past. And that's why when she agreed with me, I said, I don't need to regret it right now, today. It was a regret maybe at the moment, but it's something that I respect.
Okay.
That it happened and that I can make choices to better or worse myself from there.
Okay. I also think it's interesting that maybe I hear this more on the women's side in terms of like, not wanting to be judged for like their body count or the number of guys in their past, which I always find an interesting conversation because I could understand not wanting to be judged for that, but I can also see the consequences of that kind of situation happening.
For me, it's a sensitive subject because like 1 in 3 have had R word.
Yes.
Okay. So that means that 1 in 3, if we're sitting there doing body counts, don't always get to choose all the bodies that they're counting.
I had not considered that. Interesting.
And so I think it's then you get the privilege not to think about that.
Yes.
And so that's, I think, what my biggest issue is of it, especially when that's a huge crime and it doesn't get prosecuted a lot. And people claim that there's all these, but like, and so you're sitting there basing it off of situations where you're the same man who's okay to just take it from any, at any moment to do it, not necessarily unwillingly, but you're willing to be fresh and do these certain things to get that. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And so then because you succeeded or we found you to be trustworthy or honest or whatever it is that we decided to give that to you, now we're counted negatively.
Well, outside of the extreme cases where it's like, yes, there's RASA that happens, like there are definitely those people. But then there's also like, women go to college and it's like, it's my first time in college. And I knew there were a lot of women, for example, like, especially the group in the church where it's like, they were just forbidden to do anything. And then they get to college and that first year they wild out. And I knew a lot of women, my freshman year of college, they got pregnant because it was their first time. They just freely let themselves go. So, and then honestly, also, because I watch a lot more, it's like the negative of this high body count is that she cannot now find the kid's father. Like she's testing 18 dudes.
Well, one of the topics that we had on the show was making a mandatory paternity test.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, listen, there you go. There you have it. We don't have to worry about it. If we got a mandatory paternity test, we don't have to worry about being a hoe because we'll know the parent anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't have both. Like, I'm either a hoe or we're going to do the paternity test.
Right. Well, speaking of just the body count stuff, on the show, they asked about, although they had a roster of guys. Now, a lot of dudes think that women have just a ton of guys at the beck and call and that they're entertaining all the offers that they're getting and that therefore they always have this choice. So from the women and from that you've seen dating from your own experience, how often would you say it's true or false of women having like rosters of men that they're actively like dating, humping, whatever?
I would challenge that that's projection. Men who are accusing women for getting hit up all the time in their DMs or whatever have you are probably the men who are hitting up a lot of women in their DMs.
Interesting.
And not getting responses. Like, because it's projection. Otherwise, how would you know that unless you're doing it? You're not going to think about it.
Because you're like one of the guys that are doing it.
You're one of the people that are doing it.
So what's the actual reality in terms of like women having rosters? Like, I mean, because again, I don't think with a circle of women that have just a lot of dudes they're banging. Most of them, what I know now, one of my other things is like either in a relationship or married. So it's like.
I know girls, ideally, probably some would like to have the idea of they're having a roster. But if you're keeping a guy around and dating him and he's not showing you what you need to see of him as your boyfriend, I don't see the point of that. Like, and the girls I know, like, yeah, they might be open to someone. So like, you might know many different guys who propose, oh, I think you're attractive. Great. Now what's your next step? Are you in my DMs every day? Or are you actually making actions on that? And what's the roster from that? So like, yeah, if I'm counting every guy in my DM, I just told you if someone from Lithuania slid in.
Yeah.
Because he saw the Whatever podcast. Hi, if you're watching this too.
Yeah.
And so great, but you're far away. How could I possibly entertain that? There's another guy from Africa. He's the sweetest guy, but you're far away. Like, how would I ever see you? Like, realistically, that's not something I can entertain.
Right.
Anything that's not in this city is not something I can entertain. You know what I mean?
Well, why not in the city?
Well, sorry, not in this city.
Oh, not the city. Okay.
Not in the city is not realistically something unless they were putting a lot of effort forth, which I'm already asking for first dates. So now you're having to fly people places. Like, what are you looking like?
Right.
And then, so now once you get the people actually in there, what are they doing? Are they scared? Are they just saying hello? Do they not believe they can talk to you? What are their actions? Are they asking you on dates? I feel like I've got a lot of guys that I actually would even date, but they don't get past the DMs. They'll be like, oh, we should see each other. Oh, we should. Or would you? And I'll even be like, yeah, Monday at 3, what's up? Let the date go by because they're scared because they don't actually want it. Don't actually want it. They claim like they want it. So is that my roster? No, I'm not counting him because he doesn't care about me. He's literally just trying to get my attention because he thinks that I'm attractive. And that's all he can actually stomach. That's all he can muster.
Interesting.
That's all. Because once it comes past that, then he probably also is already talking to someone, or maybe he's wifed, or whatever the situation is where he can't.
And that I found happens surprisingly. I definitely
have a relationship. Stop watching and liking my stories. I appreciate the love, but just stop. It's weird. Don't do that.
Yeah, I just like, because again, dudes are complaining about like, oh, like this and that, but it's like, I've definitely know women that have like, I met a guy, he seemed really great, and then I found out he had a wife and kids. I found out he had a girl, this and that. Like that happens quite frequently. It happens
all the time. And here's the thing, I'm not the one. I'm not the one at all. number 2. And number 3, when you slide in, I don't mind if you watch stories. Like stories is something that people do, but when you sit there and like them, unless it's a comment on something basic like political or something, like you're just liking a picture of me looking beautiful, I do appreciate the compliment, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like that's an ick. That's a big ick. And some girls are like, oh, they don't care. I don't know a lot of girls like that. Most girls I know, they care about that because the girls I surround myself with, they're good, smart, beautiful girls. And we are looking for something that's going to be long-term in the future. So we wouldn't want to jeopardize another woman winning in that way to then karmatically affect my own winning, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I'm really careful with boundaries.
I'm also curious, is like, when does it transfer from having a roster to just calling it dating? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Because like I've definitely had times where like, you know, if I'm on a dating app, I'm dating like 2 or 3 girls at a time. Is that like I have a roster now? It's like I'm just getting to know them.
A roster is when you're dating these multiple guys over and over and over again. But the thing is that, I mean, by date 3 or 4, like I'm going to know how I feel about you. And if I don't feel like it could move forward, I'm probably not going to worry about having date 5 or 6. So you won't be on the roster unless people are talking about their guy friends, but then that's not obviously a roster.
Well, they would call them Sims, but I think they're referring to like, you know, like a woman that say has like, you know, there's like 5 guys she's dating and also hooking up with, and also they're doing various things for like.
Oh no. And actually a lot of girls I know, they won't be like hooking up with these random guys. Like if I'm dating you to be a potential, I'm probably not going to hook up with you. I probably don't even want to kiss you yet. Because I want it to be magical and all, like, you know, feel pop and like not butterflies, because apparently that's anxiety and it's not a good thing, but just that emotion.
Right.
A lot of girls that I know, they'll probably just have like someone that they will cuddle with. That they wouldn't take seriously in that way.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class